we're taught that selfishness is a bad word, but in business, radical selfishness can mean survival and business growth. So, Elle, tell us, what is radical selfishness?
So, when I say radical selfishness, I don't mean greed or stepping on others. I mean being radically clear about your priorities, your time, your energy, so that your business can thrive. And so, it's about protecting your vision, staying in your lane, and not letting distractions pull you away from what actually builds growth.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Sometimes, we hear selfishness, but it's not just being selfishness and stepping on somebody else. It's just, like you said, it's staying focused. It's like, how can I own in on what I have going on and just kind of like leave the noise out so that I don't get distracted, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's a good thing.
It's so easy to stay busy, right? But how do you clear out the things that aren't moving the needle forward so that you can actually take the actions that are going to help you grow
Yeah.
in your business in your personal life as a person? I think one of the keys to that is boundaries because all of everyone around you will kind of consume your energy if you let them. So you have to set your boundaries on what you're willing to give your energy and your time to, especially as a woman.
Yeah. And to top that off, too, I would suggest that as business owners, you don't take on clients or partnerships or projects that derail your growth, right? Even if it brings in quick money. And we talked about this in a previous episode where we're like, oh, yeah, we need the business, you need the money. But if that money is going to derail you from the bigger picture, and growth, then you may not want to do that. So, yes, set boundaries. It's a good one, Elle.
Right. I think, and it helps if you think about the opportunity cost of everything that you're spending your time on, right? Like if we're spending time on this podcast, which is taking away time that we could be doing something else. So like, what is the value add for this for us? Like, I enjoy it. We talk about how it's like therapy for us, which is helpful. Yeah. So it's worth the opportunity cost for me for an hour a week to record.
Oh, yeah. And for radical selfish in terms of the context of business is you want to also be a strategic decision maker, right? So what I mean by that is you can't spread yourself too thin. You can't be everything to everyone. You have to like focus, double down on the things that aligns with your business and your vision, right? And I know a friend, which we just talked about who that friend is, does everything for everyone. You have to just make sure that what your vision is, your goal is, that's it. You can't be running here, running there, jumping, running around, it's too much. You
It
will
is.
get burnout, you will get exhausted, and then you will lose sight of your vision because you're doing a million things. And now, what's the saying goes? Jack of all
Jack.
trade, master of none, or something like that.
Yep.
That can be good and that can also be bad because you're taking on too much. And I like to tell people when people ask me to do stuff, I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna be peanut butter on sliced bread. Because you ever notice when you have like sliced bread, right? And you try to spread peanut butter so thick that the bread starts to like rip apart.
I do that with
That's how
butter.
I feel, right? That's how I feel like when I'm taking on too much. Like I'm a bread that's starting to pull apart because everything is just being laid on so thick. And then now I become fragile emotionally, fragile physically because I can't get everything done. So you got to be strategic in terms of what opportunities you take on. Every opportunity is not an opportunity.
Very true. I love that. Every opportunity is not an opportunity. And
Yeah.
so when I started my business, that was the hardest thing for me to figure out. Like, where should I spend my time? What's going to bring in revenue for my business? And I finally learned, because you learn things as you grow, I finally learned that don't like build an offering until you're making money at it versus like building an offering and then trying to make money at it after. Don't waste your time on that. Like only have your client have revenue from this offering, know that it's valuable, that people want it, and then sell it.
Yeah, for sure. Another thing to consider too, with radical selfishness in business context is self-development. And
Mhm.
we as business owners, we often neglect that. You start a business and you get so busy because you're the marketer, you're the accountant, you're the admin person, you're the receptionist, you're the sales guy. You're the actual technician. You're everything in your
You're
business
everything.
as a business owner. And so you tend to sometimes neglect self development. You have to invest in your own learning, your leadership skills, your mental health, which we talked about before, because you have to recognize that you are the core asset of the business. So, again, that in itself is being selfish, radically selfish, because you're focusing on what's going to help you become a better person so that you can have a better business.
Yeah. I feel like it's really hard to do that. It's really hard to set aside time and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna take this course or I'm gonna, learn this new skill."
But it's needed.
It's definitely needed, and I feel like I do that by weaving in, like, new offerings to clients. Like, I've just started for this small business, I'm implementing Jobber and an AI receptionist, and so I'm, like, learning this new skill while I'm also making money and working for a client and teaching them about it. So that's been helping me there, and then I have on my to-do list to get all these AI certifications and things like this. I haven't done that yet, but it's on my to-do list, so I will.
Yeah. One of the things, one of the things of being a business owner, right? You have a million things going at the same time.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
We when we did that course with GCA and they gamified it, so, like, we had to get our points, so we had to do our homework, I felt like that was very motivating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe weave in self-development by signing up for a course that holds you accountable to getting it
True.
done. Yeah.
True. That is a good point to make. Another thing I want to talk about too with being radically selfish in the business context is resource allocation, meaning you choose to put the profits back into growth, into tools, and people that actually move the business forward rather than trying to please everyone. You want to reinvest into your business, not just all these people, like you mentioned earlier, trying to create an offering and then, trying to get no, focus on what moves the business forward. That's being selfish because it's radically selfish, but it's productive. It's not just I'm being selfish because I'm stepping on somebody else. No, I'm being selfish because I'm trying to push my business forward and staying focused on my goals and my dreams and the core of the business.
So what does that look like for you in your business?
So for me, resources, I put money back into the business. Sometimes I might forego a paycheck to be able to just put money back into creating opportunities, tools, marketing, might be doing a personal development course or something like that, or even reinvest into the people because when people are happy, they tend to give more output, right? So I try to do that more.
Yeah. For me, it's usually investing in new technology tools to see if I can streamline workflows a little bit better to save myself more time. And then, when I do that, I can also sell that to clients and save them time, and it just kind of snowballs from there.
That So let's talk about being theoretically selfish without hurting others, right? So the key to that for me is intentionality, right? So how can you be intentional about being selfish without hurting somebody else?
Think I think we're taught that it's selfish to not give all of ourselves to other people, especially as women. We're taught that you're being selfish if you're not giving all of yourself to other
So
people.
pretty much you're saying no gracefully, right?
Yes. Yeah. Say no gracefully, protect your energy. Not everyone and everything is deserving of your energy. And if you try to keep all those balls in the air, if you try to give all of your energy to everything, you will have nothing left for yourself and only yourself to blame, right? You have to set those boundaries for yourself.
Yeah, I agree with that. I always tell people I love saying no. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Like, I'll
Love
just
it.
say no just for the fun of it. Even though I'm going to say yes, I just want to say no just to see people's reactions. I
Yeah.
love saying no. And it took me a long, long time throughout my years of being an adult to learn how to
Mhm.
say no because you try to please everybody and you think it's being good customer service and you think it's just making people like you. but it's you're doing a detriment to yourself if you cannot say no. Just say no. I need to wear a shirt that says just say no.
No is my default setting.
Right. And saying no doesn't mean I'm saying no to you or I don't like you. It's more me saying no, I don't have the time or the resources to commit to what you're asking me to do.
Right.
Because I might want to do it. I just don't have the time to commit. And I would hate to commit and don't give it my all. And then, I fail and I
Yeah.
disappoint you and it's a flop. So just say no.
And I think, if there's someone out there who is having a hard time learning to say no, remember that when you say no, you're taking back your power and people respect you.
Yeah.
If you will earn more respect by setting your boundaries, by saying no. You're not going to lose respect. You're not going to lose opportunities. You're making space for the better opportunities that will matter most to you.
Yeah.
It's
And
hard
it is
to
hard
learn to say
because
no.
some people think that when you decline an opportunity, it doesn't harm somebody else. What it does, it actually redirects your focus. So you want to just focus on what you need to do. I know it's hard because some people they like being everything to everyone, and it doesn't work that way. You get burnout, you get mentally, physically, emotionally burnout, and you're doing a million things. How are you any good at any of them?
Exactly. Yeah, multitasking is a myth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You're not succeeding at anything 100% if you're multitasking all the time.
Yeah. And flowing right into that is you focus on your zone of genius, right? So when you sharpen your expertise, instead of being everything to everyone, you add more value. So multitasking, you can't do it all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, add more value. I like that. You add more value to yourself. You bring more positive things into your life because you've increased your value. You've increased your respect, your self-worth. There is power in saying
Yeah.
no and setting your own boundaries.
Yeah. And why and people often feel guilty about saying no. And I think it's because we as human beings, we fear rejection, we fear people not liking us. And so when we say yes, even though we know we shouldn't say yes or we don't have the bandwidth to say yes, we still do it hoping that, the person won't hate us.
Right. Right.
And you have to say no for your own mental health.
Yeah. So thinking back to my time in the corporate world, I've had different kinds of bosses. I've had some who respected boundaries and
Mhm.
I've had some who didn't. Who, if you try to say no, they would keep pushing and pushing. They wouldn't care if you had to miss sleep or, your kids' softball game, or they wouldn't care about any of your personal sacrifices. They wouldn't care if you were burnt out or your workload, they would keep pushing. What would you say to someone who has one of those bad bosses who doesn't respect boundaries?
Well, again, going back to our first point is just say no gracefully. And I like to use buzzwords, as people call them, because I think in today's society, people love a buzzword and they understand buzzwords more than anything else. So I would simply say, you know what, at this time, I just don't have the bandwidth. There goes that
Mhm,
buzzword. You know,
mhm.
can you come back to me when I'm finished with XYZ? I would love to do this. I just don't have the bandwidth right now. When you tell them, hey, I would love to do it, it shows you being a team player and it shows that, yeah, you want to help and you want to do it, but because of all the other things you have on your plate, that's not making room for you to take on what you're asking me to do.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
like that. I also, a lot of times, I would fall back on KPIs and our dashboards and what I was working on and the goals that what I'm working on are tied to. And so, if I do this, then I can't do this, which is working towards this goal. And so, people tend to kind of understand numbers and prioritization a little bit if they see it right in front of them versus I've had a lot of bosses, like just working in marketing, who get distracted by the shiny new thing. And so it always happens. They just want you to work on this shiny new thing, but don't
Mhm.
think about, oh, you're not going to be able to get all these other things done that are really tied to goals that need to be achieved in the
That's a good
business.
one. Reminding them of the goals.
Hmm.
That's so important. especially if those goals are tied to money, to revenue. Nobody wants to lose revenue.
Right. Yeah.
So that's a very good one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Revenue always comes first in
revenue
business.
comes first. All right.
Get
So
paid.
how to be selfish without hurting others? You build systems for growth, right? So creating scalable processes and protecting your bandwidth is selfish, but it actually benefits your employees, clients, and your partners in the long run, right? Because you're focusing on, okay, how much can I take on? Now, and if I can't do that, then I'm just gonna focus on protecting my bandwidth. We just touched on that so that I can do what really needs to be done. I can meet all these KPI because this is what's gonna benefit the company as a whole, the employees, the clients, all these stakeholders that you have a responsibility to. Yeah. Yeah. I love that. All right. And then finally, being selfish without hurting others means prioritizing your well-being. Oh my God, how many times have we talked about mental health and well-being here?
Right. Yeah. Prioritizing your well being. My goodness. What does that even look like?
What does that look
Make,
like?
yeah.
Well, I think protecting your health, your balance, your clarity, it kind of ensures that you are a better leader because if nobody wants a boss to show up to work and you're all frazzled, right? You're
Right.
like scrambling, you're frazzled. Nobody wants that. And so I feel like setting boundaries, like setting standard work hours, not
Yes.
responding to emails at midnight because a client emailed you at 1 a.m. because something is so urgent. Urgent, send an invoice. That's not urgent respond. Not gonna respond to you asking me to send an invoice at midnight when the person is getting it. They're not gonna see it till probably 8, 9, 10 o'clock the next day. That can wait till business is open. So again, setting work hours, setting boundaries, prioritizing your well-being, shutting
Yeah.
down.
Shutting down. Yeah. I think that's key is shutting down, not living in your inbox
Oh,
and finding the thing, I guess, that recharges you and
hmm,
doing it,
yeah,
making time for it every day.
yeah.
For
I
me, it's like getting out in nature and going for a hike.
oh yeah, love that.
Lately, that's been it.
Love that. I know people who they think it's good customer service to answer their phones at 11, 12, 1, 2, 3 o'clock because a client's calling. I'm
Ooh,
sorry.
yikes.
If you're calling me at that time of the night, I'm not gonna answer. And if it's an emergency, what you need to do is call 911, not me. That's who you call an emergency. So there's actually nothing I can do for you at 2 a.m in my line of business. Yeah, granted, if you work at the hospital, if you're in the service industry, or you're police, firefighter, or something, you're on call. If you have a job that you are on call, I get it. I'm not on call. There's absolutely nothing as an accountant you can call me to do at 2 a.m.
Right.
There's
Yeah.
nothing about customer service with that. So I'm sorry. Boundaries.
Yeah. And 2 a.m. is my time. I stay up late. And yes, I might be working, but that is because everything else is silent. I feel like we
Right.
all need quiet time
Yes.
sometimes.
Quiet time. Love
Yeah.
it.
Protect your quiet time.
Protect your quiet time, right? Oh, can't tell you how much that pays off.
Yeah. Reroute to 911.
911. If you have an emergency, call 911. That's the
Yes.
best people to call. They can help you.
Very true.
Nobody else can help you at that time of the night. All right. So we want to wrap up and let's kind of like look back on some of the practical ways, radical ways to help you get ahead. So we talk about clarity, which equates to faster growth, right? So you don't waste your
Mhm.
energy on things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
There goes our number one takeaway. If you are draining my energy, that's taking away from the bigger picture of my business, then no, I'm going to move that to the side, right?
Yeah.
So be clear
Delete.
about that. Confidence helps you to make stronger decisions.
Very
You
true.
don't second guess because you define what really matters. You know what's important and you go after that. You're not sitting down guessing, should I not? It's
Love
very
that.
clear. Capacity leads to greater impact,
Very
right?
true. Yeah.
By
You have to have
focusing on yourself and your business growth, you eventually create more opportunities for others. And that's a good thing.
Yeah, I like that. Absolutely. Yeah, think if you have a habit of being selfless, think about the fact that if you are selfish in building your business, you are actually making opportunities for others.
Exactly. Because how many employment you could offer right there by building something, by staying focused on that. And which is why some people will always be a solopreneur because they'll never be able to scale and grow, and you'll never be able to hire and retain employees because, well, you're trying to be everything for everyone and you're not staying focused.
It's a great point. Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, share your ideas with us, guys, in the chat, in the comments. We'd love to hear from you about how you are staying radically selfish and how you can be radically selfish. And if you have any ideas to share with us, any experiences to share with us, rather, of how you have been radically selfish, please let us know. We'd love to hear from you.
Yes, comment, like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.
Guys, until
Bye,
then, bye
everyone.
bye.